Ready? はい。
お願いします。
お願いします。はい。Open down. はい。Side to side. Ear to shoulders. Circles one way. And the other way. Arms. And back. Come in. はい、横。はい。はい、座り。反対。横。右。横。はい。いい動き。き。こ。き。こ。3、9、こ。はい。So, forward, down. はい、your knees for the back. Circles, one way. Circles the other way. Down, down, down. Hey, open your toes. Hey, you, go, you, go. Thank you. Go. Hey, hips. You and just circular motions with your hip, just trying to keep your balance and using your leg and just making a round circular motion with your leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Then side 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Raising your legs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Few hinges. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Open your legs and lower your hips. Hey, pivot to one side. Oh. Pivot to the other side. Oh. Grabbing your toes. Raising your hips. Lower your hips. Raising your hips. Lowering your hips. Raising hips. Lowering. Raising. Lowering. Raising. And letting go on your spine. And hips again. Direction. The other direction. Your legs. Side. Lower on one side. Lower on the other side. Toes up. On the other side. Hands in front. Side. And again, hands in front. The other side. Oh, back side. Your legs, elbows down. Coming forward. So, going back. Let's work a little bit on our lower back, which is always a fundamental part of our anatomy. Remember, there is several ways to work on your lower back. One of them is work on your core muscles, because a lot of the strain that we may receive on our lower back is because the other muscles that should participate in that motion, like core muscles, are not working properly. Or they are not strengthened properly, number one. Number two is always attempt to maintain the idea of alignment and internal triangle. Like a lower back pull is possibly the most clear example of what happens when you try to do something outside of your internal triangle. So when you pick something inside your internal triangle, when you put something down inside of your internal triangle, then you have more control over it. As soon as we start operating outside of our internal triangle and we try to pick up something or move something, then it's when our lower back flares, because we are not respecting this very important anatomical feature of working inside your internal triangle. Anyway, so core muscle work is always very important. Respecting your internal triangle is always very important. But sometimes the lower back obviously needs work on its own. So let's try to see if we can work in a few things with itself, for it. So just very basic one first, just on your knees, and cat and cow position. So just checking the most basic condition of our lower back through a cat and a cow motion, going up and going down, going up, going down, going up, going down, going up, going down. And this time back stretch. Coming forward to cobra. Back again. Forward to cobra. Back again. Forward. Now, hips up. Hips down. Hips up. Hips down. Hips up. Hips down. Hips up. Hips down. This time with a little bit more of dynamism, but still look after it. Okay, you're going to hips up, curling forward, jumping in, and your basic squats. You're going to come down, and then you're going to come hips down. And that sometimes in wrestling and in martial art practice could be called sprawling. When somebody comes and takes your two legs down, and the person that is doing the technique just basically drops their hips really quickly. It's called sprawling. You need to have a really good lower back kind of condition in order to be able to do that. So let's do it slowly. Okay, so back, hips down, hips up, push into your toes, jumping in, deep squat, coming up, coming down, back and down. Okay, so now that action, you should have one. You could be down, back first, and then down second, depending how good your condition is. You may do those two motions at the same time. So one more time, hips up, spine curling forward, jumping in, coming up. Now let's break it down into two motions. Okay, back, jumping back, and curling down. So that's kind of two motions: jumping back, hips down. If your condition is better, you may do that in one motion, but let's start in two motions. Hips up, carrying forward, jumping in, up, down, jumping back, down. Okay. Hips up, curling, forward, up, down, jumping back, hips down, hips up, curling forward, Dropping in, up, down, shoulder back, hips down. Right. So now, depending on the condition of your lower back and how much you want to do that motion, you can do this action as a one action, okay, or you can do this action as a two actions, just depending how much you want to work on that lower back. Okay. So back stretch again. Coming forward, bringing down, hands on your your forearms. And now for the moment, just Sphinx, raising up, coming down, raising up, coming down. So your forearms are down, raising up, coming down, raising up, coming down, raising up, coming down. Very good. Opening your arms, raising one leg, turning to one side, down, raising the other leg, turn the other side. Down, raise, one side, down, raise, the other side, down, okay, hand in front, okay, and this time it's no angels, all the way to your, touching your body, to your own legs, and then coming forward again, okay, so there's no angels, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and relax. Okay, the next one is the classic superhero positions, which means your arms and legs go up at the same time. Depending on your condition, once again, you may just try first your arms without your legs. You may try first your legs without your arms, and eventually you may try both at the same time. Again, even one arm, sometimes even the condition is such that it's only one side of the back, for example, that is hurting. So, you may hold on one side and just hold the other arm. Hold on one side, raise on the other arm. Hold on one leg, raise on the other side. Hold on the other leg, raise on the other side. So just depending your condition. So you may start with one leg and only up hands on or legs, okay? Or you may go, what we usually do, which is both hands, both legs. But there's a process in there for you to choose, okay? Well, you can do whatever part of the process you are comfortable. I'm going to do 2 hands, 2 legs. All right, ready? And go 1, hold, 3, 2, 1, down. 2, hold, 3, 2, 1, down. 3, hold, 3, 2, 1, down. 4, go. 3, 2, 1, down. 5, go. 3, 2, 1, down. 6, go. 3, 2, 1, down. 7, go. 3, 2, 1, down. 8, go. 3, 2, 1, down. And relax. All right. This time go back on your lower back. Go back, please. Sorry. So just lie down. That's what make it easier than it's slow. Lie down on your back. Okay, and just side to side. Side to side. Side to side. Extending one leg, hugging the other one. The other side, extend one leg, hug the other one. Extend both legs, bring them both in. Grab your toes, raise your legs. Relax and breathe. And relax your legs. Side to side again. All right. So that's some different level of basic exercises to look after your back. The two possibly most important exercises that I do when I feel my lower back kind of tightening is hanging, and this is something that even Moreno Sensei did a lot, at least in Mexico City. In Mexico City, when he had the other dojo and the Mexico City dojo, he has still there. In his office upstairs, he has one of those bars that you put in the middle of the frame of the door. And at the end of every class, he will just kind of go to that bar and just hang to help decompress, the spine. Another exercise that sometimes I do quite often at home is when I open that, and then I just go down and then let myself sit and then stretch down here. So in this exercise, there's a couple of options. One is when you keep your head down and you really focus on sitting. The other one is when you push your chest up and a little bit, higher up. You go down and allow your spine to curve, and you're really focused on your bum, sitting, head down. And then the second one, you take your chest out, bring your pelvic area in, and then you go up. So if you have someone wonderful like Irena to help you to do this, okay, that's great. If not, usually you just find a column, ideally, a column or something that you can actually grab into, and then do your motion is great. We have here, at least in another angle of the camera, so you can't see it, but there are many how do you call this, suspension devices, like TRX is the name of a brand. But basically, gymnastic rings or anything that is a suspension device. And those things are great for a number of reasons. I really like exercises with suspension devices. But basically, as long as they are well anchored, it's a little bit like bands. Bands are great, but they need to be really, really well anchored. But as long as they are well anchored, they serve always like a really good aid to help you, in any condition when you have a bit of an injury, and they provide excellent support in order to recover from the injury. There's also many things you can do with them in terms of actual proper body weight exercises, but in terms of support, they are really good, to do that. So yeah, any suspension device that is really well anchored can also help a lot in general body weight strength, but also recovering from any injury where you need some active support in order to go back into certain ranges of motion. So yeah, check them out. As I say, the TRX. This video is proudly sponsored by. No, it's not. Unfortunately, TRX is kind of an expensive brand of the suspension devices, but there's quite a few these days in sports and stuff. Anyway, so all of that for your specifically targeting your lower back, which we can never do enough for it. Okay, so it's not until it's a bit like the teeth, the lower back is a little bit like the teeth, we never really notice it until something bad happens, and then we really notice it. So pay attention a lot to it. So this week we've been trying to focus on the idea that Aikido, as Moreno Sensei says, is based on mathematics, physics, and anatomy. Now, I asked on the Monday class, and I think we all come to the general agreement that the anatomical elements of our practice are reasonably easy to understand, focus on, using your hips and using your spine and your lower body and your core muscles, etc., etc. So there are some clear anatomical elements that we can see. So that's more or less understood. Physical principles, again, they are reasonably understood. We practice slowly that there is a structural alignment, where we must respect the center line of the motion. If the center line gets lost, then it's going to be physically more difficult. There is elements of connection that we must respect in order to transfer, our weight in a more efficient way. There are elements of leverage, in different positions that we must respect in order to transfer. So physical elements, we more or less have an agreement. Mathematical principles is a little bit more mathematical, it's a bit more abstract, by the very nature of even of the concept. So that's a bit more difficult, and I just suggested to kind of tackle it from the area of understanding patterns and shapes. Okay, so which is one branch of mathematics. The idea of seeing patterns repeated is what helps us, for example, in our basic study of things like Ihonwasa, followed by Henkawasa, followed by Kaeshiwasa. So hopefully there is a pattern of motion that is what links Ihonwasa with Henkawasa with Kaeshiwasa, that if we are careful at being able to observe it, is what helps us study that. So that's number one. But also patterns, especially in geometrical shapes. The three most common ones that we talk a lot in Aikido are circles, squares, and triangles. So let's just start first, with our triangle. Our most representative figure of our triangle will be our hanmi position. Okay, so now with hanmi, remember, put your one foot forward, the other back. Your hips square, joining into the point of that triangle. If this is the base of the triangle, and then everything moves into the center of the triangle. Okay, so on the other side, like forward, make sure that the base of your triangle is square, is flat, and then that moves into the shape of the triangle. Okay, so one more time, left forward, base of triangle, intention of the triangle is 1. Okay, change the other side, base of the triangle, and then intention of the triangle is here. Okay, so this is the center line that we talk about a lot. So this is the base of my triangle, my hips, and then my center line is the intention of my triangle. And this center line is only one line. So at the moment, we're not working with the square, which possibly has 2 lines. The triangle has one little dot at the top. That center line is something that I must continue to respect and own, in a sense. So base of the triangle, tip of the triangle. Okay, base of the triangle, tip of the triangle. So let's just do basic Ayumi Ashi, where I try to keep focus the base of my triangle and the tip of my triangle. Okay, the base of my triangle, the tip of my triangle. The base of my triangle, the tip of my triangle. Pivots, to the side, base, tip, base, tip, base, tip. So now, I know that sounds really simple and it's almost like a boring exercise, but believe me, a lot of the process of our irimi, for example, exercise failing, is because my base is compromised in some way. I'm not strong on my base. I'm somehow open. Therefore, I don't have any base. When I try to kind of do my irimi entry or something, there is no base in my triangle. Or because my tip of my triangle just basically, boom, gets knocked out of place. Okay, so I'm about to enter, I'm entering, boom, the tip of my triangle just gets knocked down. So there's no triangle anymore. So it's basically you're just entering, boom, and the thing just goes to. So we cannot emphasize enough strong base and a strong tip. A strong base and a strong tip. A strong base, strong tip, strong base, strong tip. Okay, so base, tip. Base, tip, base, tip, base, tip. Okay. Now, remember that that's in essence, we didn't move at all, which thankfully we do. When Irene skis, let's say skis. Okay, the idea is that this triangle exists. The idea is that this hand is presenting a tip, and that this hand is going to basically pass, open, respecting the base of my triangle. So skis with the other side, this is my tip. Hopefully that kind of respects that. Shishomens, doing the same thing. The tip of my triangle is the tip of the triangle is very important because it's basically the moment of contact. Okay, the tip of the triangle is the moment of contact. Is the part of the body that is going to basically get the first contact with your partner. So if that first contact gets wobbly, then it's going to be a problem in terms of how to move it. perform your action. So your tip of your triangle would be really clear. The tip of your triangle must be really clear. Okay, so our triangle shape, you have to study to have a good base and a good tip. Our circle is possibly very clear in the form of the movement of our feet, in a way. We love that. We step and we turn, we step and we turn, we step and we turn. Even when we step and we pivot, okay? We step and we pivot, okay? By very action, the action of pivoting also creates a little bit of a circular feeling. Pivot, okay? Stepping, pivot. Stepping, pivot. So, stepping, turning, stepping, turning, stepping, pivoting, stepping, pivot. So, the circle with the legs is reasonably obvious. The one that is incredibly not obvious is the circle with the arms. And why is it not obvious? Okay, despite doing all of these actions, it is because many times we forget to finish the circle, which finishes in your internal triangle. Remember, your energy exits from your center of gravity, finishes in your center of gravity. Exits from your center of gravity, finishes in your center of gravity. But very often, maybe we remember to bring it from the center of gravity, but we never finish it in the center of gravity. We throw out or out. Okay, no. Circle, circle, inside, inside. Okay, so very basic movement of ripo. Okay, ripo, up, circle, down, completing it in your center of gravity. To the side, up, down, completing the circle. Up, down, completing. Up, down, completing. Up, down, complete. Inside your center of gravity. Up, down, inside your center of gravity. Okay? Next one will be iriminage, similar problem. Up and inside. Okay? So up and inside. Opposed to up and out. Okay? Where the circle was never completed. Like I say, the circle with the feet seems very obvious. The circle with the arms, which is equally important, is definitely not obvious in our day-to-day practice. So, iriminage, control the spine, and up, finish the circle. Iriminage, control the spine, and up, finish the circle. Iriminage, control the spine, and up, finish the circle. Iriminage, control the spine, hands up, finish the circle. Okay? It's funny because I think what happens with the idea of the circle with the arm is that the circle with the leg is very much what we like to think about Aikido. It's very non-confrontational, redirecting. Non-confrontational, redirecting. We say, yeah, that's what Aikido is about. Aikido is about not being confrontational and redirecting someone's energy. Non-confrontational and redirecting someone. But then the circle with the arm is very dangerous because it implies that we are fully closing the possibility of my partner. Because we don't like that, we don't complete the circle sometimes, and we just let the partner go. Because there's this enormous gap that my partner, I should be kind with my partner, and because of that, I give them that enormous gap. So I'm supposed to say, if I close this circle, suddenly my partner has less gap to move through or into, and then it's more dangerous, it's more uncomfortable for them, right? So we like the idea of the circle with the feet because it's, redirectional and not confrontational, but we don't like the circle with the arms because effectively closes possibilities from our partner, from Uke. And that feels rough, that feels hard, that feels, difficult on your partner. But we cannot pick and choose. In a sense, we make circles with our feet, with our hips, and we make circles with our arms, with our hands, and those two things have implications. So please remember to finish yourself. Even with something like, shikorage, okay? Ish, ni, san. And down. finish. Ideally, Shikonage finishes its circle here, inside of the internal triangle. Very often, our uke wins and then take us out of our internal triangle, but our Shikonage should always finish inside of our internal triangle. Okay, so just Shikonage, please. Focus on that circle. Try to finish it inside. So turn, pivot, step. Step again, inside. 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 So, so that's the for the moment, that's just the thing that I want us to think and see in terms of the pattern of the circle. Not only the pattern of the legs, but also the implication of the pattern of the arms. Okay, which basically means finishing inside your center of gravity. Okay. The last kind of figure that we see and we sometimes can't appreciate it with regard, of course, is the square. So now with the square, possibly the best way to start studying it is saying, we have basically what we call a power box. All the power that comes from outside of this box is just a transmission of power through that box. The power can come from the shoulder, from the hip girdle, or from the shoulder girdle. The hip girdle is basically all the systems and organs that are connected to the hip in a way, and then the shoulder girdle is everything that has connected up to the upper level of our body: chest, back, shoulders, arms, etc. So ideally, the hip girdle is what produces the motion, and the shoulder girdle comes and supports that motion. What happens most of the time with us is that there is a disconnect between these two things. Therefore, all the power comes mostly from the shoulder girdle and no awareness of the hip girdle. So the important thing is to harmonize, to unify our hip girdle with our shoulder girdle through the use of our spine. Okay, so that's where the trick a little bit comes, So our shoulder girdle is connected to our hip girdle through our spine. Okay, so that's what keeps them both together. So, for example, if we just do the basic action, like stepping and turning. The most common problem that we will face here is that our hand will get pulled out of place, for example. The tip of the triangle is going to be removed from the triangle. A way of keeping it in a triangle is saying, no, my shoulder girdle, my hip girdle, through my spine, we're going to keep this in place. My shoulder girdle, my hip girdle, and my shoulder girdle, we're going to keep these through my spine in place. Okay, so try to keep motion of your shoulders and your hips in harmony. Shoulders and hips in harmony. Shoulders, hips in harmony. Shoulders and hips in harmony. Shoulder, hip. Shoulder, hip, harmony. Shoulder, hip, harmony. Okay, so at the end of the motion, that harmony means that these and these are moving together. One exercise, for example, where that harmony is broken is, let's say, kaitenage, when we have to come down and back, right, and control my partner. What happens very often is my leg shoots, which means my shoulder girdle already open, but my hip girdle already open, but my shoulder hasn't opened. Okay, so I go 1, 2, boom. My hip already open, my shoulder hasn't opened, which means now I have to do the job with the shoulder alone, as opposed to saying my hip opens, my shoulder opens. My hip opens, my shoulder opens. My hip opens, my shoulder opens. Okay, so let's just practice that action, please. So stepping back and cutting down, hip and shoulder together. Hip, shoulder together. Hip, shoulder together. Hip, shoulders. Hip, shoulders. Hip, shoulder. Hip, shoulders. Okay. Another case where hip and shoulder break the harmony, for example, is kata dori techniques. When I grab my when I grab in kata dori, and then I know that I have to step back and I have to open. For example, I have to go 1, 2, and then from there I perform technique. Right? But what happens very often is this: she holds here, I go 1, and this never really open. Right? I step back and my shoulder never really opens. So now I have to either drag it, which if I'm stronger than her will work, or if she's stronger than me, she feels the disharmony, she feels the weakness now, and she exploits and pulls it up. So what I have to remember to practice is to say shoulder, hip together, shoulder, hip together, shoulder and hip together, shoulder, hip together. Okay, so let's just practice that, please. Okay, visualize kata dori, shoulder, hip together. Careful that you're not leaving your shoulder there and your hip going back. That's the problem. Okay, shoulder, hip together. To the side, 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 shoulder, hip. To the side, shoulder, hip. All right. So, let's so just as a very quick summary of something to think about and work on in terms of seeing repeated patterns in our motions with your triangular pattern, solid base and a clear intention, solid base and a clear intention. Make sure that that center line is owned by you as opposed to moving off place or being taken out of place in your movement. Keep your center line. That's the tip of your triangle. Don't let it move. Okay, that's number one. Center line for your triangle. For your circle, enjoy the circularity and the non-confrontational elements of your footwork, but remember to close the circular elements of your arm work. Okay, remember to close, always finish inside your internal triangle. And number three, in terms of your square patterns, make sure that your hips and your shoulders move in harmony. Like your shoulder girdle and hip girdle, just creates this square, this box of power in your body, are always moving with a level of harmony. Okay, and we have plenty of opportunities where that doesn't happen. Okay, but that will be broken and your square will be broken. All right, let's finish up with Puna Kogi, which is a really good moment to practice the squareness of it. The shoulder and the hip moving together. Okay, so hands in front. Hey, yay, ho, 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 yay. Oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah, oh, yeah. Go. Hey, the other side. It's a, 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 it's a. Go. Hey, you. Ready? Hey!
どうもありがとうございました。
ありがとうございました。Thank you very much.